Thanks a lot for staying with us on TVC Breakfast Saturday. Let's talk energy now, which has become an integral part of our daily lives. Historically, fossil fuels such as oil, coal and gas have been the primary sources of energy, but these resources come with significant drawbacks, including environmental pollution, land degradation, and contributions to global warming. With millions of entrepreneurs now gaining ground, they continue to play a critical role in addressing global energy challenges by developing innovative technologies and business models that harness renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower. That's what we want to discuss now as we bring in to join this conversation an oil and gas industry consultant. He's also the Chief Executive Officer of Mountain Energy Solution Limited. Engineer Olusegun Okedoye is here with us, and we thank you very much for
Thank you for having us.
A very good morning to you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and looking at your, at least briefly, at your growth, one will see that you have a somewhat rich experience in oil and gas. Of course, you also have dipped into project execution, project management and execution. Just give us what would be the key lessons that you have learned so far, even as we narrow our conversation down to oil and gas, the growth of the oil and gas sector, the drawbacks, and all of that. What has it all taught you?
Thank you. Very good questions. Oil and gas discovered in Nigeria way back since 1960. And since then, we've been exploiting, albeit not maximally, for the size of our country. Nigeria is over 230 million people, and we are just doing just about 1.5 million barrels a day. That is abysmal low level. Come to think of Saudi Arabia, of less than 1/4 of Nigeria, produces 5 million barrels daily. And so Nigeria still has a lot of potentials to exploit in oil and gas. Come to your question, really, for my experience of 23 years in the industry, spanning from engineering design to construction to installations, commissioning and management. While I walked through from private sector to international oil and gas like Total Energy, Seplat Petroleum, and then now I'm running my own business, providing effective solutions that I've noticed in the years of my 23, working in an industry, to see how we can maximize and also improve on what we used to do. For most of the marginal people that are coming up to ramp up our productions, to utilize our gas. So we want to bring to board innovative way of exploiting these resources that God has given to Nigeria and utilize it to take energy transition. We cannot run with America, who has been exploiting for so long a year. We cannot run with Europe. They are still using coal over there. Why should we just dump what we have not even gotten to half of it and then run after alternative? Alternative is the way to go, but we must utilize what we have now to transit to the alternative. That is the only way we can be sustainable as a country.
How do we key into those alternatives? We have quite a lot of challenges in the oil and gas sector in the country. Is it a case of living by the riverside and we're still dying of thirst that we're experiencing in the country?
Exactly.
So what are those solutions that you are providing to these challenges?
For example, you mentioned something, living by the water and die of thirst. We have abundance of natural resources God given to Nigeria. We have not exploited 1/10 of our gas resources. Nigeria is more of gas nation than even the oil. Look at our generation, power generation today, just a little bit of 5,000 megawatt. What are we doing with all the gas that are wasting away in the creek of Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, Akwa Ibom? We need to do innovative way of exploiting that to improve our power generation and then solve the economic problem that Nigerians are facing on a daily basis. Power is important for any economic growth. And that's what most of the entrepreneurs in Nigeria are facing. We spend a whole lot of money generating power by ourselves, whereas we can do that as a nation, increase the efficiency of our gas generation and power our power stations that are line idle. We have a lot of installed power generation in Nigeria, but most of them are not fired. What happened? There is no gas. So we must sit back and find an innovative way of exploiting this gas.
How? How do we find those innovative ways?
Very good question. Infrastructure development in oil and gas production. We need to debottleneck all the issues that affect entrepreneurs in Nigeria, both national oil company and international oil company. There are bottlenecks from policy, bureaucracy, government slowness. We need to optimize from policymaker to the implementers and then to the industry. There must be a gap. There must not be a gap in between the three of them. So we need to close it out by speaking to the authority who are in charge of this business, in charge of this sector, to close rank with the players, the national oil company, the international oil company, the service provider, the government agencies, like custom, like DPR. All of them need to sit back and say, we cannot be doing this the way we have been doing it since 50, 60 years. There's a better way of doing it. Open up the space for people with innovations to come in, people with money to bring in infrastructure and investment in that space.
And when you say open up the space and
yes.
To allow in private practitioners with the needed expertise to come and help solve the energy crisis in the land, how will these entrepreneurs also be able to work around the recurrent challenges? We have vandalism,
yes.
Still a big issue, and so many other, energy theft and all of that. Yes. How do you work around these challenges?
Good questions. If we need a change in Nigeria, it begins with me and you. Now, coming to the entrepreneur, there is need for each of the players in the industry to speak to truth. What is actually the issue is. In the Niger Delta, take for example, we have a lot of vandalizations of our pipeline. That's what brought our production down to a certain time about 600,000 barrels, a whole nation of over 200 million people. So from the community engagement to the local integrations into the business of this oil and gas, we must recognize the local communities. They are very germane and important to our progress if we must get the benefit of our resources. Because they stay in this environment. Most of the places, you don't see road there, you don't see light, there's no potable water. Government at every level must sit back and provide these amenities and keep up a community engagement that is result-oriented.
On the other hand is the issue of cleanup.
Yes.
That's what the residents there are saying, and the pictures are rather gory.
Very gory.
Right. So how do you now strike a balance to ensure that while we are still keeping up with the traditional, energy energy sector now, the region is clean and safe?
We need to give a kudos to the present-day government who has taken a bold step to clean up Ogoni. I serve in River State. I was in Ogoni. I was posted to Ogoni. My first day of getting there, I went to see Sarawiwa's house. Because the history resonates. He fought for the people. He fought for the emancipation of the Niger Delta, and also globally for Nigeria. So if you get to those places, some of the schools there are with tattered roof. So what the government of today is doing is a right step in the right direction. We must keep the pressure on, get it cleaned up. I could see that they've planted thousands of trees now. They are regenerating the environment. And then community engagement, that I said, is so important. Protect what is in your backyard. Don't, because you get angry, you throw dynamite. And when you throw dynamite, the oil comes to the space, and then it will also go around and bite you. So we need to talk to the youth and engage them proactively, meaningfully. Provide schools, provide jobs. How do we provide jobs? That's where we come in. Entrepreneurs like us, we need to employ as much people as possible. But if the entrepreneur is suffocated by taxes, multiple taxes, custom issues, regulatory bottlenecks, how do we break even? Then how then do we employ these people? So it's a chain that we cannot break.
It's indeed a chain that cannot be broken, but when we look at that, we should also look at the environmental impact, like you rightly said, and the points that she also made. Yeah. So how do we go from here? For me, I believe in practical approach to things. So what are those takeaways that we need to take from this? How do we key into all of this initiative, these innovations that you have suggested?
Good. We will start even the very best time is about 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Okay. It is not too late. As we are carrying conversation out here, we will keep talking about it, and we will not rest until we get to our destination. One of the things we need to do is to bring to bear all the papers, seminars, engagement that we had in the past that are gathering dust them up, and engage. Look at the issue of artisanal miner. They are the one causing a whole lot of in a
particular approach.
Now, we had a conference in Abuja sometimes 2 years ago, trying to integrate the artisanal miner into the mainstream. We need to call this up and organize them in a community, in a corporate level, let them have numbers, be traceable, and then innovatively supported them with finance and technology resources to do that trade in a way that it will not come back to hurt us. Because what they do, they forget about safety of themselves or the environment and of the society. And they just want to get a little of the fractional distillation they carried out, diesel, and go and say, what happened to the rest? Was not taken care of. So if government comes to that space and clean it up, not to relegate them and say they are hoodlums. No. They have skills, and we can innovate that skill to become something that is of importance to Nigeria. All
right, Engineer Olusegun Okodoye, we have to run. We've run out of time and have to end this conversation. But we thank you. Okay. We thank you very much for all that you have shared, and we look forward to engaging more with you on this and other related areas.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.